Good morning or evening or whenever you're watching this. Jimmy and Wolfie and I are here to read the next installment of Avril Crump and Her Amazing Clones. If you remember last time, it was a lot happened, right? The explosion, some of the chemicals in her uncle's chemistry set mixed with the sort of mixtures in that chest, and 3 clones were made. And then she named them. So the really tall, skinny one who talks like he's from Shakespeare's time is Boney, or Bonaparte. And the little girl's name is Eddie, and she's pretty normal. And then there's the talking dog who seems very full of himself, and he's going to be called Augustus. So let's see what happens now. We know that Avril wants to take care of them, and she's not exactly sure how to make it happen. Her plan is for them to hide, and then she's going to sneak them out at night and bring them to her house. So chapter 5 is called Escape from Leviticus. Dr. Weatherby came to slowly and was in a foul mood before he was even fully awake. He remembered exactly how he had been knocked out, and he knew exactly who to blame for it. He ran his hands over his face, checking his nose, his teeth, his hairline. It all felt all right, but he would find a mirror as soon as possible. There was an infuriating ringing in his ears that only got worse as he heaved himself to his feet, but at least his features seemed intact. He would go and find Avril Crump and give her a piece of his mind before dragging her off to face the board. It would be even more impressive if he took some actual evidence of this unauthorized experiment with him. What a pity most of it was now on fire. He hunted around for anything that was not in flames. That charred lump of wood would do, he thought, picking it up with his handkerchief. It was the remains of that box Dr. Crump had dropped on the replication chamber. Perfect. This would incriminate her nicely. Dr. Weatherby located his briefcase, which, though smoldering, had been thrown clear of the worst part of the explosion, and popped the evidence inside. He tried out a couple of limps as he left the lab. One, wondering which would win him the most sympathy. Maybe getting caught up in this explosion was not such a bad thing. He could wear a heroic-looking bandage to his inauguration ceremony, maybe even carry a crutch. That would have Dr. Seducta swooning all right. He was feeling so pleased with himself that he almost missed the voices coming from the broom closet. Treading softly in his rubber-soled shoes, Dr. Weatherby backed up the stairs and went to the closet. He crouched a little and pressed his ear against the door. "No, no," it was Avril's booming voice. "Edna is perfect. How could I have forgotten it? When I was a little girl, all of my toys were named Edna." What sort of certifiable lunatic, Dr. Weatherby thought, named all her toys Edna? And who on earth was she talking to? "I think I may have a dash of Roman emperor in me." Who was that? Dr. Weatherby hoped nobody had followed him up here. They might have seen him struggling with Avril, and would know that he had helped to cause the explosion. "I don't think there was any Roman emperor in the cloning mix." Cloning mix? Dr. Weatherby pressed his ear even more tightly against the door. He was concentrating so intently that he didn't notice the silent figure of Dr. Seducta lurking in the shadows at the end of the hallway, watching him. "Dr. Weatherby!" Dr. Weatherby straightened up and looked down at Avril, who had just opened the door. "Yes," he said. "It is I." Avril shuffled backward. "I'm so sorry, Dr. Weatherby," she swallowed. "I was going to come back in to find you, but perhaps you were saving somebody else?" Avril's wide eyes were the only answer he needed. "Let me see what you're hiding," he demanded, shoving Avril. "Absolutely not," Avril said. "Hand them over to you so you can go straight to the management with them." "Them? Who are you hiding in there? Let me in." "No!" Avril pulled the door shut behind her. "How dare you defy Raymond Weatherby?" Dr. Weatherby shouted. "You will regret this." He seized Avril by the sleeve and tried to hustle her towards the stairs. "If you won't let me in, perhaps you might be more willing to offer an explanation to the police." Avril stood her ground. "No!" "Dr. Crump, you are in very big trouble. Whether you let me in or not, your little secret will get out. But perhaps if you cooperate, we might be able to keep this within Leviticus. If we handle this in the proper manner, the police need not be involved." Avril felt sick with anxiety. If Dr. Weatherby got his hands on the clones, she would never see them again. Fearing a scandal, the management would destroy them. Of that she was certain. "I can't. I won't." "Oh, for heaven's sake!" Dr. Weatherby took advantage of Avril's confusion. He darted around her and managed to push the door halfway open before she had time to stop him. "Good grief," came a voice. "How many more introductions must we endure?" A talking dog. There was no regulation to deal with this. Dr. Weatherby's eyes boggled. He staggered backward. Avril seized the opportunity. "Run!" she yelled at the clones, giving Dr. Weatherby a shove that unbalanced him further. "Get out of here!" "No!" Dr. Weatherby steadied himself. "You stay right where you are." He reached out to grab Bonaparte just as Avril delivered a brisk punch to his large nose. He howled. "Is it broken?" He brought his hands up to his face. "Tell me it's not broken." "Go," Avril ordered Eddie. "I'll take care of him. Just run." Dr. Weatherby lunged for Avril and began trying to wrestle her to the floor, a job that he regretted almost as soon as he had started. Not only was she even heavier than he had thought earlier, but the dog suddenly rushed at him. Before he could react, the animal had leapt straight at his head, snarling. A paw went right into his injured nose. This time he really howled. He knocked Augustus sideways into the wall. "Mr. Dog!" But there was no time for Bonaparte to reach Augustus. Dr. Weatherby had grabbed hold of the tall clone's leg and was trying to drag him out of the broom closet. Eddie grabbed Bonaparte's other arm and began to pull him back, just as Avril, thinking fast, seized a bucket and brought it down on Dr. Weatherby's head. He let go of Bonaparte. "Go!" Avril gasped, her eyes meeting Eddie's and Bonaparte's. "Go, or they'll destroy you all." Eddie's eyes widened in horror. She grabbed Bonaparte by the hand, and pausing only for Boney to gather up the crumpled body of the dog, the clones ran. Dr. Weatherby, reeling from the bucket assault, shoved Avril as hard as he knew how. Her head hit the hard floor. As he rebounded backward, so did his. They lay still, knocked out, for the second time that afternoon. At the end of the hallway, Dr. Seducta slipped out of the shadows and headed for the stairs. She could hear the clones clattering down about 4 flights ahead of her and sped up slightly, taking the stairs 2 at a time in her clicking, high-heeled shoes. "Miss Eddie!" Bonaparte gasped, clutching Augustus under one arm and waving the other hysterically. "I hear footsteps. I do believe that man is following us." Eddie could also hear the footsteps. They were getting closer. "Come on!" She sprang up onto the banister and motioned for Bonaparte to do the same. "It'll be quicker this way." The banister was smooth with age and provided no resistance. Off they shot, around and around the remaining flights, Bonaparte's long hair and Augustus's ears flying out behind them. Eddie was worrying about what would happen when they reached the bottom. She was still worrying as they sped off the end of the banister, went straight through an open window, and plunged at high speed into a large dumpster. Spitting out rancid tomato seeds and wiping raw egg from her eyes, Eddie shifted sideways before Bonaparte and Augustus could land on top of her. "Quiet, Boney," she hissed as Bonaparte yelped. "If we stay in here, he'll go right past us." Bonaparte nodded obediently. "This is so undignified," came a loud voice from inside his coat. Augustus's head popped up. It was topped with a rotting banana peel. Eddie Eddie clamped a hand over the dog's mouth and waited for the clicking footsteps to get close. Nothing happened for a moment. Then the trash bin suddenly lurched. It felt as though they were being wheeled away. Dr. Sedakta reached the bottom of the stairs despite the gathering gloom. She could see well through her large sunglasses. There was no one in sight except for some filthy maintenance man wheeling a dumpster outside the window. The clones must have slipped into one of the empty labs. Well, after her latest cell phone conversation, her instructions were clear. She was disappointed that it was not able to be an assassination mission, her particular specialty, but perhaps the boss would allow her to have a little more fun after she had captured the clones and delivered them to him. She took out the phone and redialed. "Me again," she whispered. "I'm on the case, but I think you should send someone here to help do a cleanup. You don't want anyone finding out what happened in Lab 1. Oh," she added before hanging up, "and send someone to pick up Crump and Weatherby. You should get them to the manor before they wake up and start blabbing about all this. Then you can decide what to do with them." She slipped the phone back into her pocket and set off down the hall. Finding the clones would not take her very long. Okay, we'll stop there for tonight. I hope you're enjoying this, and I will see you next time. Say goodbye to Jimmy. What are you doing, Jimmy? Just snuffing. Okay, good night.